Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And in this case, we're talking about the logistics and warehousing industries. We're honored to have with us Sam Potts, owner of MetroLogix, and Justin Miller, director of the commercial division. How are you two doing?
It's great to be here.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for having us on the show.
Absolutely. Well, when you talk about logistics, that's the Mid-South. And so we have an opportunity to dive in deep on everything you're doing and opportunities to even grow. So that's exciting. But Sam, let's start with a little bit of your personal background and how you got into this logistics business.
Sure. So I grew up in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, home of Oprah Winfrey. Went to Ole Miss. And really grew up in a banking family. My great-great-grandfather started a bank in 1890 in Kosciuszko. And so my dad was a fourth-generation banker. And after graduating from Ole Miss with a degree in finance, it was in my blood, and I got into banking and worked for Regions Bank initially, and then joined M&F Bank, which was the bank that my family had been involved in for over 100 years. And so I had a number of roles at M&F, mostly on the commercial lending side. I had stints in the Jackson, Mississippi metro area and in Birmingham, Alabama. In 2008, my wife and I decided to move back to Kosciuszko, which is where I'm from, where the bank was headquartered, to work with my dad. He was the CEO at the time, and as you recall, 2008 was the beginning of the great financial crisis. So I moved to Kosciuszko, and I believe it was June of 2008, and in September of 2008, Lehman Brothers failed, and over the next 4 years or so, I think there were almost 500 banks that failed. And so M&F was not immune to the issues in the industry. And it was an extremely difficult time for our company, and took us several years to work out of that. It was one of my dad and I still talk about it. It's one of those experiences that you never want to experience again. But the lessons that you learn going through that are really priceless. And so I'm very grateful for all those hard lessons going through that experience. In 2013, we sold M&F Bank to Renaissance Bank, which is based in Tupelo, Mississippi, a regional bank. Now it's around 20 billion in assets. I moved to Tupelo. I had considered at the time maybe I'd looked at one opportunity outside of banking, but because of what I'd recently experienced through the crisis and through just where we were as a family. I had 3 kids. We were adopting our 4th at the time. Felt like I needed to commit to banking, and had a great opportunity at Renaissance. And I'm so glad I did that. It was a great organization, and I learned so much from my time there. So I was at Renaissance for almost a decade. During that time, I felt an entrepreneurial itch that would kind of ebb and flow over time. I looked at some opportunities outside of banking, but nothing ever made sense. And looked at most businesses that are for sale that you know about are not great businesses. And so, really just try to keep my head down. And the longer you're in institutions like Renaissance, which again is a great organization, the harder it is to leave. But I got a call from my brother-in-law, Isaac Bird. Isaac lives here in Memphis, is married to my younger sister, Catherine. And he and I, over the course of, I guess, the last 15 years, have many shared interests, including just business and entrepreneurship. And we had never looked at anything closely together, but we had certainly shared ideas and had both dreamed independently of, owning our own company. And so Isaac called me and he said, "Sam, I just had a really interesting conversation with the then owner of Metrologics." At the time, Isaac was not in a position to kind of pursue that. But I followed up, and one conversation led to another. Isaac kind of rejoined the conversation, and over almost a year-long process, we were able to put a deal together to buy the business. And so that's kind of how I got here and a little bit of my background.
Nice. And so when you talk about what you do, you've got warehousing facilities, and so there's a lot of opportunities. Justin, let's switch it over to you. I want to hear, how do you describe Metrologics?
Well, Jeremy, you know my background well. I've at my age, I've taken pride in becoming industry agnostic. Former educator, investment broker, nonprofit leader. And my non-negotiables now at my age are being around really good people who do the right thing. And I've been dear friends with Isaac Bird, Sam's brother-in-law, who he mentioned, for many, many years. Got to know Sam over the last couple of years and joined Metro in January of this year to help grow their commercial division. Metrologics has been around almost 4 decades, and it started off in the food distribution business. There was a meat brokerage that was thriving, and actually it was going up until a few years ago. However, about 23 to 25 years ago, the owners of this business, the Mattingly family, came across a customer within the federal government and began storing products for them in different places across the country. So there's still this legacy commercial business that we're looking to grow, but the primary focus has been on these longer federal contracts.
When you look at, Sam, the opportunities, because I know you've got some climate controlled facilities, there's a lot of opportunities, refrigerated facilities, as Justin was alluding to, kind of the food side. Talk about the opportunities, talk about the specialization for what Metrologics does.
Sure. So as Justin mentioned, Metrologics has been around for 40 plus years. And you don't do that by, having an inexperienced team. And what the Mattingly family, Mitchell in particular, was able to do over the course of years is to develop and, recruit a really talented team. And so if you look at just our operators from a general manager standpoint, I mean, each general manager has 20 plus years of experience at Metro in logistics. And so it starts there. It starts with the team. Obviously, we have learned a lot from the team that's here, and we want to continue to invest in that team. We are, I would say, our niche, our expertise is really in temperature control. And our quality program, it's something that we take very seriously. Obviously, it's important that we care for every customer's products, but we have built a quality program that we believe is best in class. We continue to make investments into that. And that really comes from, care for the customer. And that's, an important part of who we are as a company and as an organization. And we believe that, the confidence that our customers have in us is so important, and building that trust. And so a big part of that is having systems and processes and people to manage product, and we do that very well.
Give us a little bit of a business view for those who don't know the logistics and warehousing, this sort of business. Give us a little bit of an illustration around how it works in terms of working with the clients and, how they're able to get the space and, manage through that process. So give us a little bit of a better understanding, kind of a look behind the scenes for how the business operates.
Sure. It's one of those businesses that, you see large industrial facilities and you really don't have any idea what's going on behind the scenes. And so for us, what that looks like, particularly within our commercial division, is we have key customers that are in the region that have it might be food distribution, it may be food processing, it may be a holding place for food to be distributed to grocery stores. And so I see product in Tupelo, Mississippi, which is where I live, in grocery stores that have passed through our facility, which is really cool. And so, we work with all sorts of different types of clients in different sorts of different types of arrangements. And we can store product for longer periods of time, or there can be product that's a lot of turnover. It just depends on the needs of the customer. And we're very flexible in terms of how we accommodate that. We have different structures and way that we, onboard new clients, the way that we set up, terms and that sort of thing. And so we're very flexible. We're very entrepreneurial when it comes to that. It doesn't have to fit in a box in terms of this is the only way that we do it. And I think that appeals to a lot of people, a lot of companies that need to be nimble, need to be flexible in their own business. As a small business owner, I certainly appreciate the ability to, make decisions on the fly. And most companies appreciate that.
Justin, what excites you when you look at MetroLogix? And I know, for you and your background, it's about how do I make a difference? How do I impact the community? I mean, your through line is always around how am I serving others? And so when you look at MetroLogix and the ability to serve others, your team, your clients, your community, talk about what excites you.
What excites me is using, to Sam's points, our team and experiences and our processes to serve more people better. For example, whether it could be a hospital network that by law has to store so much PPE on hand at any given time, our ability to receive that properly, care for it, inventory accuracy, and have that on the ready when needed.
When you look at the role that MetroLogix plays in the community at large, I mean, I look at the logistics industry. It's such a huge economic driver for jobs, for new companies coming to the area, entrepreneurialism. I mean, everything that we're talking about. Talk about, the role in the industry and how this plays an important part of the fabric of the success of our region.
One thing I'll mention is, you talked about logistics being just so important to the fabric of the Mid-South, Jeremy, and I'm certainly green to the industry, but I'm learning, in large part because of COVID, there were many businesses that were going out of their way to get as much space as possible because they had to at the time. Now, what that has turned into is a lot of empty space in this area. And so people are trying to figure out ways to maximize it. You know better than I do that you can throw a rock behind you and hit an empty warehouse in this city. But that can also turn into some great opportunities. So job development, for example, there's an amazing guy who you need to know if you haven't met, Andy Kazee in Binghamton, part of the hub where they're using this empty space to go work and try and secure federal contracts as a job training platform. I get really excited about that. I get excited, Jeremy, I think you might be on the board of the Community Foundation of Northwest Mississippi. We were reached out to a few weeks ago by a broker who focuses only on helping nonprofits with their logistical needs, ask if we could donate storage to this foundation. So that's the kind of stuff that I get excited about, and being around just great people. As Sam mentioned, a couple of people on my team in particular have been here 30 years, 25 years, 13 years, and they do the right thing when nobody's looking. And so almost selfishly, personally, I'm becoming a better person as a result.
Sam, what would you add to that?
I would say, as we think about this regional hub, and we spoke about this a little bit earlier, it extends beyond just where we are in Olive Branch, Mississippi, or even Memphis, MSA. But you think about the regional impact that all these businesses here in this area have, even in Tupelo, which is 80 miles just to the east of us. And so we get to play an important role in that. And in the grand scheme of things, it's a smaller role. We're not FedEx, but we do have the privilege and responsibility of engaging with employees, customers, vendors, each and every day. And the way in which we do that, how we treat one another, how we grow those relationships so that they're mutually beneficial is super important to us. And ultimately, there's a ripple effect that's far beyond just where we are today.
Well, Sam, wrap up for those who say, I want to learn more about MetroLogix. I want to, reach out for more information and get connected. Where do we go to carry this conversation forward?
Great. I would encourage people to go to our website, www.metro-logix.com, and there's a form to fill out. And we'd love to connect with you and love to hear from you.
Well, Sam, Justin, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you,
Thank you, Jeremy.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.